My presentations always start with a big disappointment because most of my adult life I was selling sex toys, and everybody who expected that I'm going to talk about sex toys today will be disappointed. So if you want to go out to grab a coffee, be back in 70 minutes because we are not talking about sex and sex toys. We are trying to learn something. We are trying to learn the 5 things I would have loved to know before starting a business. But first, a little thing about me. There's this word called serial entrepreneur. I'm not a serial entrepreneur. I'm a serial failure. What does that mean? I tried 51 projects and none of them worked. This is my archive folder, and none of these worked. The only thing that worked was selling sex toys. Now imagine how bad the others were. This is a photo of my co-founder and me in 2014, and it was one of the happiest days of my life. Why? Because when we started with Amorano, we had on average 2 or 3 packages a day. And on that day, we had 75 packages, and we had to take a photo because we were so happy. We were like, hey, we are onto something. Fast forward, 10 years later, we shipped over 1.5 million packages, and the chances are quite high with 8 million people in Switzerland that you bought something. I will not ask you if you bought something. This is embarrassing for you, it's embarrassing for me, so I won't ask. But I sold the company in 2022, and for the first time in my life, I had money. I never had money in my life, but I had a big problem. I was massively overweight, and my doctor told me that I'm on a very, very bad path, and that I need to change something because my blood work was really bad, and I need to change something. So I went to my girlfriend at that time, and I told her I want to become super fit because it would be a very bad time to die now that I have money. So I was thinking, who are the fittest people in the world? And then it was like, people who go to the Olympics are the fittest people in the world. So I decided I'm going to the Olympics. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to the Olympics. I called up my lawyer and I told him, please go through all the regulation and tell me what's the easiest way to go to the Olympics. After 2 months of a huge bill, he came back and he said, you have no chance for the Olympics, neither in winter nor summer Olympics, but you have a small chance for the Philippines in cross-country ski. Why? My mom is Filipina, so I had a small chance in cross-country skiing. I started training, and I decided I start with the slogan from obese to Olympics and try to go to Milano Cortina in 2026. I got myself a coach, I started training in cross-country skiing and had 0 talent. My coach was like, oh, this will be very, very, very hard. But I didn't give up, I just tried, I competed, and then a small miracle started when I got the email in March 2023. I got this email of Christian Haller, and it was like, hey, Alan, we're looking for a curler. So Christian has been curling for 25 years, and he asked me, hey, can we have a phone call? And then he called me up and he said, hey, Alan, do you want to join the curling team? And probably first he just wanted me as a sponsor, but I was so persistent, I just told him, I'm part of this curling team now. I never curled in my life, but I started curling in April 2023. This is my first attempt to curl, and it was really, really hard. It was more slipperier than I thought. But we became better and better, and suddenly the Olympics started writing about us. Could curling have its own cool runnings mode for the Philippines? And we became more and more successful. And suddenly, we had to start our competition. We had to start our Philippine Curling Association. There was no Philippine Curling Association. We had to apply for the Philippine Olympic Committee and so on and so forth. And we started in the category B, Pac Continentals B. We played against the big teams, Saudi Arabia, Kenya, Nigeria, so all the countries with the lice. And we beat them, and we made it to A. And then suddenly we were playing in the big league with Canada, US, and China. And suddenly we were there. And we won the pre-Olympic qualification as well, and we were on the run. But we decided, you know what? All these tournaments were in a curling club. And we had to train for the Olympics and the World Championships. So we decided we are going to the Asian Olympic Winter Games. Nobody knows the Asian Olympic Winter Games here in Europe, but in Asia it's a big, big thing. We didn't know about it, we didn't train a lot, so we went there, and then suddenly there were 15,000 people in the arena, and the opening speech was done by Xi Jinping. And we were like, oh my God, this is the real deal. So we decided we need to train and we need to play there. And we had our first game against Korea and we got slaughtered. Zero chance. Like, Korea is one of the top teams in curling. And then we had our second game against Kazakhstan, won that. We had against Turkmenistan, won that. And we sneaked ourselves into the quarterfinals. And then we played against Japan, one of the powerhouses in curling. And I played the game of my life. I never played before that good. I never played after that good. And it was broadcast all over Asia. And I just played for 2.5 years at the time. And everybody was, oh my God, this guy has talent, which I didn't have. So we played there and we went into the quarterfinals and we beat Japan. And then suddenly we were in the semifinals against China in their home country. And Japan, China is like one of the really, really good countries in curling, top 4. And they underestimated us. And we won against them in the semifinals and kicked them out. And then suddenly we were in the finals again against Korea. And this is the last zone of the Koreans, and they missed it. And we became Asian champion. This was absolutely wild. And then suddenly the Filipino president called us. It's like, you need to come to the Philippines. So it snowballed, the whole thing snowballed, and we became Asian champions on the May. But our goal was to go to the Olympics. We were 1 out of 10 teams, 2 will make it to the Olympics. And we tried to compete there, and we were very close. The last tournament, the qualification tournament for the Olympics, we were playing against these top nations, all professional curling players except us. And on the very last day, we lost against Korea. And this was the stone that ended the whole story. And it still hurts me a little bit to see it, because our dreams were shattered with this stone and it was over. And we didn't make it to the Olympics just because of one last game. But all in all, I'm pretty happy. I lost 15 kilos. I'm Asian champion. Nobody can take that away. But I never made it to the Olympics. So I had to find something new. And now I'm trying to go to the World Championship of Poker. I'm not a professional poker player. I just tried. Right now, I'm the worst poker player in the world. So if you go to the website, I'm minus 1,615 francs. But I will get better, I promise you that. Enough self-marketing about me, so you know a little bit about me. We are here to learn something. These are the 5 things I would have loved to know before starting a company. Everything starts with an idea. And we forget that. We forget that everything is an idea. The chair you're sitting on is an idea of someone. The shirt you're wearing is an idea of someone. The stage I'm standing on is an idea of somebody. Everything is an idea, but they're good and they're bad ideas. And how do we find the good ones and the bad ones when you start the company? And the best way to show it is, this is a toilet paper. It should be zoomed out a little bit. And this toilet paper has normally a cardboard inside. And I was sitting on the toilet with the cardboard in the toilet paper, and the toilet paper was down, and I had this cardboard. I was like, this is such a waste of my time to take out the cardboard, throw it away, and put in a new one. Why is there stronger paper that I can use, and then it's done? And I thought, now I have the best idea in the world. Now I will go out and I will make billions with it. So I started research and I started to test it with friends. And the friends were like, this is a good idea. But what I realized then, nobody gives a shit about it. Because you're so used in the process of taking that out. And then I realized not every idea is a good idea. So as an entrepreneur, you need to be your biggest fan, but you need to be also very critical about your idea. That's very, very hard. So finding good ideas is being critical with your own ideas. The second thing is timing. So you have your idea, you start the company. And the big mistake is that you're trying to ride the current wave. How do I see that? Every startup deck I get to invest, I see it's full with AI. Every company starts with AI. 5 years ago, every company was about blockchain. Today, everything is AI. And I realized people are trying to ride the current wave. They're trying to do what's actually a hype right now. And then you're too late. Let me explain you how you can find future opportunities instead of riding the current wave. So one small example is retail. I'm from a small town here in Switzerland, and we have a small store, like a local store. So every village has a small store. And then what happened is Migros and Coop came along and then consolidated it. So it was expansion and then it was compression. And then the internet came along And suddenly everybody could do their online store. So it exploded again, expansion. And then Amazon, Galaxus, Sprout, all they became super successful. They consolidated again. And then Shopify came along. Everybody could do a great store for 100 francs a year. So it was again expansion. So there's always this expansion and contraction in business. And you need to find out in which phase are you. Are you in a phase of contraction or expanding? And if you're in a phase, if you see the phase, the current phase, you can try to predict the future, what will happen. So you try to see what the future will bring. Is it the expansion phase or compression phase? And you can position yourself again. So you have your idea, you figured out the market, and now it comes to market your idea. And how do we do that with market your idea? I did the marketing at Amorana, not because I knew a lot about marketing, because my co-founder told me you are doing the marketing now. So, and I realized when you're doing marketing, you have either money or courage. How did I see that? In the beginning with Amorana, we were so courageous. We tried a lot of things. And then we became bigger and bigger. And we had in storage, we had a huge inflatable dildo, 5 meters. And I thought, we are taking that one and we're bringing it to Plainview in Zurich, which is the main place, and we blow it. And everybody was like, this is a great idea. We will get a lot of PR and marketing. And then the first one in the marketing team was like, but what do we do when the police comes? What do we do with the families? And then I realized I was sitting there, oh my God, we lost our courage, but now we have money. And the really successful companies have courage and money. But let me show you very concrete how that works in marketing. So these are the most important 4 metrics you need to know when you do marketing. Doesn't matter if you're B2B, if you're B2C, if you're a consultant, doesn't matter. It's the customer acquisition costs, it's the click-through rate, it's the conversion rate, and customer lifetime value. Let me explain that very quickly. So you have your traffic with marketing, you bring people to your website, or you make ads, and then you have the click-through rate. How many people are clicking on that ad? And then you bring them to your website. And when they're on your website, you have a conversion rate. How many of these people are buying something or doing something on the website? And then you have a customer lifetime value. How often do people rebuy? For example, with Amorana, you buy 1 dildo, you have a second, but not third. So how big is the customer lifetime value? Amazon, you buy and rebuy and rebuy and rebuy. Have a huge customer lifetime value. And as a startup, you don't have any money in the beginning, so you optimize on your conversion rate. And let me show you very quickly how that works. So this is one of our competitors. And you can't read it, but I can. So on the top left, there's a free DVD. Okay, who wants DVD nowadays? But you don't even see the logo of the shop. And there's like, they spent all the money for marketing, and then they tell you, you want to enter or you want to leave the sign. And if you don't want to leave the sign, on the very left there, you can go to another site. And down here, it's 60 people like this, be the first of your friends. Probably not. These guys had 1% conversion rate. And with Amorana, we had 5.4% conversion rate. And this is the main reason why Amorana exists. Why? Because of the traffic we got to the website, more converted into customers. The same people. And let me show you an example. So you spend 1,000 francs to bring people to your site. 1,000 francs, people to your site. 1% is buying. So 10 people are buying something. On average, you spend 100 francs. So you make revenue of 1,000 francs. So of these 1,000 francs, 500 francs will go to the supplier. You need to pay them. Then you have 500 francs. And these 500 francs, you need to pay the marketing for 1,000. You can't pay that. But if you have a conversion rate of 5.4%, the same people, instead of 10 people buying, 54 are buying. On average, you get 100 francs, 5,400. Half of it, 2,400 goes to supplier. And then you have 2,700 to pay the 1,000 francs in marketing. And this is the main reason why Amorana existed. And our competitors were like, this is impossible that you can spend so much money on marketing. Why? Because they calculated with their conversion rate and not with our conversion rate. So you market the whole idea, you have everything prepared, and then maybe you need some financing. You need some financing from investors. And this is very, very important. Because nowadays I see a lot of startups raising a lot of money. And they're celebrating it when they get a lot of money. And today, with my experience, I'm not celebrating that anymore. Why? Because for me, it's actually a sad thing. I'm giving away shares. I'm selling my shares to somebody else. And it's a transaction. It's the same transaction when you go to a shop and you buy strawberries. You don't celebrate that. You just buy strawberries. So it's a normal transaction. But here's the very important thing. On the other side, when a company doesn't work, that is also part of the game, and you shouldn't be sad that it didn't work out. So don't celebrate the funding route, but don't be too sad if it doesn't work. And that's the main difference why the US is so successful, because they celebrate failures. And we don't do that in Switzerland. And we need to learn to do that, because the internet has no borders and the companies are not waiting at the border anymore. And small bonus tip is, your investors are not your friends. When you start the company, everybody's excited. Everybody thinks, oh my God, this will be great. But the problem is if it doesn't work, what happens then? And if you're too close with your investors, you're making decisions that are not optimal for your business or for your employees. You make maybe decisions that are optimal for investors. So be very careful to befriend them in the beginning, because you need to have that professional distance in the beginning. It's too easy to get too close to your investors. But if you sell the company, then you can be super close with them. As an entrepreneur, you can imagine when I started the company, my 52nd company, and I sold sex toys, none of my friends said, oh my God, Alan, this is a great idea. They thought I'm rock bottom now. Now he's selling sex toys, now we lost you. Nobody wanted to invest in us. But this slide always kept me going on. Why? Because as an employee, your wages are going up slowly. But the problem is, your costs are going up slowly as well. And as an entrepreneur, you keep your costs so low in the beginning, and then suddenly it will explode and you will have much more income than costs. And the more income than costs gives you the freedom to stand here at TED and talk about sex toys. And that's the freedom I want to give all you entrepreneurs, or everybody who wants to try something, just is persistent in staying in the game, like the Americans do it and not like the Swiss do it, because we give up too quickly. And the last thing is, enough talking. Go out, build your own thing, and just imagine your idea will be out in the world.